everybody. You know what? There are so many far-flung, far-fetched factors that figure into the history of the Fed. Here's just a few. My name is Tom Campbell, and this is the letter F on the A to Z of WWE. Is for finishing move. Every wrestler worth their salt needs to have one of these in their locker. It's the ultimate way that you and only you can put down your opponent. Early finishing moves, of course, go back to the early days of the WWF. Guys like the Iron Sheik, who would lock you in the camel clutch. Guys like Hulk Hogan, who would drop the big leg on you. Guys like Macho Man Randy Savage, who get all the way up to the top and hit that big old elbow from the high rent district. Of course, when we think about finishers, surely the most popular of all time has to be the Stone Cold Stunner, a move devised by Steve Austin and Michael P.S. Hayes, who said, look, I've got this great idea for like an ace crusher, which involves you sitting on your bum instead. I think you'd quite like it. The wrestler with the most finishing moves during his time in the company has to be the Big Show, with the showstopper choke slam, the alley-up powerbomb, the final cut, the colossal clutch, the cobra clutch slam, and the weapon of mass destruction / the one-punch knockout. Big Show, mate, make your mind up. There's one F that we think of when we think of dominating finishing moves. F is for F-5, practiced by the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. March 18th, 2002, the NCAA champion Brock Lesnar marched to the ring and dropped his first F5 on Rikishi, shocking the entire wrestling world. There was more shocks to come as he carved a path through the WWE that led him straight to SummerSlam. After a titanic battle with The Rock, Brock Lesnar hoisted The Rock on his shoulders, threw him into the air with a devastating F5, and became the undisputed WWE champion. He had barely been with the company half a year. Brock Lesnar and the F5 would dominate the WWE until 2004, when he dropped his final F5 at WrestleMania 20. After that, Brock Lesnar would attempt a career back in the football circuit, and he would even attempt some rather positive endeavors as part of the UFC. It was April 2012 where Brock Lesnar would rock and shock John Cena, walking out onto WWE Monday Night Raw, returning to the company with a thunderous F5. An F5 doesn't just leave an opponent motionless, but it can leave a crowd speechless, like the one that Brock Lesnar dropped on The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30 to end The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. Whilst not always present, Brock Lesnar's presence is always powerful, having amassed long reigns with the WWE and the Universal Championship since his return in 2012. You know that if Brock Lesnar is going to be a part of television that night, somebody is getting victimized and conquered with an F5. Some say it would take a small army to bring down Brock Lesnar in WWE. This next F is probably the closest thing to it. F is for factions, when like-minded individuals get together for a common goal in wrestling. We've talked about the Authority, we've talked about the Corporation, we've talked about D-Generation X, we've talked about Evolution. I'm going to tell you later on about guys like the Shield, the Undisputed Era, the Ministry of Darkness, and many more. But I wanted to give some honorable mentions to some other factions across the years in professional wrestling. Guys like the $1 Million Corporation, formed by Ted DiBiase in the mid-90s, comprising of young and old WWF superstars. They served the goal of making sure that Ted DiBiase was the most dominant presence in the World Wrestling Federation. Al Snow brought together a band of brothers that were particularly polished at looking at the lights when he formed the Job Squad in late 1998, comprising of members such as Bob Holly, Too Cold Scorpio, and Gilbert. Didn't matter if they lost, to quote their catchphrase, pin me, pay me. Edge, Christian, and Gangrel formed The Brood in 1999, coming up through a ring of fire and heading into the ring to cause terror. Gangrel would lead his demonic army and eventually join forces with The Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness. When Kurt Angle was the WWE champion in 2003, he got two collegiate athletes to stand by his side and keep the belt around his waist in Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, forming Team Angle. There'll be a later incarnation of Team Angle featuring Matt Morgan and Luther Reigns, but let's just park that one. Just pop that one there. Let's not speak on that one. Okay, so you haven't got a faction. Maybe you need something else to help you get the job done in the wrestling ring. Maybe some kind of implement of some kind. Which brings us to our next F, foreign object. It's called a foreign object because it's not meant to be part of the match. It's being introduced in the match from the outside, like it's foreign. Essentially, that's a foreign object. That's where it comes from, because it's foreign to the match. You're welcome. Over the years, wrestlers would have their own custom foreign objects. Guys like Hacksaw Jim Duggan with his trusty 2x4, Honky Tonk Man and Jeff Jarrett, who are both very good at swinging a guitar. Al Snow had his head, like, not his head, like his head, mannequin head. He had one of them. Big Boss Man had a nightstick. Triple H had a sledgehammer. The Fiend had that weird mallet that he used in that Hell in a Cell match that we haven't really mentioned since. But hey, it was a foreign object, it counts. Let's get away from the foreign objects and head somewhere a little bit sunnier, as F is for Florida Championship Wrestling. FCW reopened in 2007 as the sole development territory for the WWE. It would replace Ohio Valley Wrestling and Deep South Wrestling as the only place where WWE's future stars could be seen. And what an alumni FCW has. Guys like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and many, many more. In fact, if you look at an FCW alumni page, you will pretty much see the WWE roster of today. You can still watch some hidden gems from the FCW days on the WWE network, including all three members of the Shield in a triple threat match long before the Shield was even a thing. Oh, and look up their reverse battle royal. It's a lot of nonsense, but I love it. FCW has now been replaced by NXT as a home for the future wrestling stars of tomorrow. The place where our next F made their WWE debut, Finn Balor. The artist formerly known as Prince Devitt in New Japan arrived in the WWE in 2014 and immediately became a huge star in NXT as Finn Balor. Devised from the Irish for Demon King, Finn Balor would quickly become the king of NXT and almost even quicker, it feels, would be drafted to Monday Night Raw. He was the first man to win the Universal Championship at SummerSlam in 2016. However, 24 hours later, he was forced to relinquish that title after suffering an injury in the match. Despite this, it hasn't stopped Finn Balor becoming a megastar as part of WWE. Now he's back in NXT, where it all began. I think it goes without saying, wherever Finn Balor lays his hat, he's going to steal the show. Speaking of NXT, F is also for Full Sail University, a campus designed for media and entertainment students to help build them to become the stars in front of and behind the camera of tomorrow. Full Sail University is the home of NXT. Whenever you are watching a non-takeover NXT event, it is normally emanating from Full Sail University. The one thing that everybody seems to remember about Full Sail is the crowd, the incredibly lively crowd that bring every single NXT show up just a little notch. There is talk that next year NXT may move away from Full Sail University and start playing some bigger arenas as a touring brand up and down the country. Be a sad day when that comes because some of the Full Sail crowds have been absolutely phenomenal. Let's step up the danger of a triple threat match for our next F, which is Fatal 4-Way. The first time four men went at it at the same time in the WWF was at 1997's In Your House The Final Four, as Vader, Bret Hart, Steve Austin and The Undertaker battled in an elimination match to determine the WWF champion. The Fatal 4-Way match will be devised by taking away the elimination factor and adding to the jeopardy of one fall to a finish. That means if you're going into a Fatal 4-Way match as the champion, you haven't got to be involved in the decision in any way, shape or form to lose your title, akin to a triple threat match, but at least one person worse. They attempted to do Fatal 4-Way as a WWE pay-per-view, which sadly fell a bit flat on the WWE Universe at the time. Whether or not we'll see it again, I don't know. There's better prospects and better opportunities for pay-per-view, so I would say probably not, but it's an interesting one. So a fatal four-way is one fall to a finish, but what if that one fall doesn't have to occur in the ring? That brings me to my next F, which is falls count anywhere. Just imagine the prospect of facing your adversary, knowing that you haven't got to stay in the confines of the ring to get this match decided. A Falls Count Anywhere match was first brought to the WWF at WrestleMania 10 when Macho Man Randy Savage took on Crush, and pinfalls could count anywhere in the arena. We didn't see many Falls Count Anywhere matches after that one, but they became a big part of the WWF when the Hardcore Championship came into circulation. Pinfalls could occur not just anywhere in the building, but anywhere in the city, anywhere in the States. One noteworthy occasion when Bob Holly pinned Al Snow for the Hardcore Championship under Falls Count Anywhere rules in the Mississippi River in 1999. So that's the final fall of F on the A to Z of WWE. What's next? You're next! Bye! Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/Cultaholic. Lastly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.